Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from the Circle K Studios. Very much like the Circle K Studios, joined by the boss, Saul Bookman. I'm merely Mike Luke. Hello, Saul Bookman.
How's it going, Mike? How we doing?
Not great. Got hit in a hailstorm, so I'm a little flustered, but I'll be able to make it work. Thankfully, though, Saul, I do all my notes the day before, so all of that, we are good to go here.
Well, I'm ready to go because I did a lot of prep for this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I just wanted to let you know I'm ready to go.
Okay, we are going to go through a lot of different things here. We are going to go through the top 10 players in the Big 12. We are going to go through our surprise, our disappointments. We are going to go through a breakout player on offense and defense for the U of A. We're also going to talk about walk-ons, mainly because I want to talk about Caden Luke because we share the same surname. But we will... Anyway, Saul, let's talk about our...
Lukes of a feather flock together.
We do. And like Brian Jeffries said yesterday, you could have a Speedy Luke and a Caden Luke in the backfield at the same time. And I told him, I said, Brian, you do not even need to mention my name, but if you want to, feel free and go ahead. So we will put it. All right. Saul, let's do our list of the top 10 players in the Big 12. I am very, very excited. You want to go through 1 through 10 or 10 through 1? Which say you,
Let's go 10 through 1 because I think that's a little bit more intriguing. Well, actually, you know what? No,
Yeah,
let's go 1 through
no.
10. No. 1 through 10 is a little bit better because we already know who's at the top, like in the top 4 or 5, right?
Right, for sure.
So you go with your number 1.
Okay, well, I'm going with Tetaroa McMillan. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going with Tetaroa McMillan. I am going with T-Mac. I believe he's the best wide receiver in the country. I believe that he is going to be I believe he's going to put up a massive amount of numbers, touchdowns, everything. I do not care. Maybe I'm being biased. I am back in the A. I think that he is a very unique talent. We saw what he did to Travis Hunter. I am going T-Mac number 1. What say you, Saul Bookman?
I do not have T-Mac as number 1. I do think he is the best wide receiver in the country. I do think he is the best player in the conference, but I do think I definitely kind of valued touching the ball more. And because he's a wide receiver, he can't really dictate how many times he gets to touch the ball. So I went with Ollie Gordon. Gordon. Listen, he's going to touch the ball 20 to 30 times a game. The best. You can make an argument he's the best running back in the country as well. So I went with Ollie Gordon.
I got Ollie Gordon at number 2, and you made the case.
Also, listen, I used some metrics to back up some of my things, okay?
What do you got?
The number 1 running back ranked in NCAA Football 25, okay? Mm-hmm. And also Pro Football Focus, number 2 ranked overall player in the Big 12.
Oh, no, he's fantastic. I got Ollie Gordon at number 2.
And he's an All-American.
And he's an All-American. Saul, I'm going to go a step further than you. I believe that he's the best running back in the country. I believe this is also, you're going to see a common theme here. I believe that this is a conference with the best running backs in the country. And Ollie Gordon is that dude that is absolutely number 1. He is a guy that you give him the ball and he can break it. He can get tough yards. He feels like he's going to be a pretty good pro as well. And
so he's your number 2.
What's that?
He's your number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
T-Mac is my number 2. So we flipped.
Hey, I got a question here. All right, well, I'm going to say maybe Saul Bookman, you have a chance now to be able to flip it back from 2 to 1. What do you say?
No, why would I do that?
I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to run your list by you again.
T-Mac is an All-American. He's fantastic. He's NCAA 25, number 3, and also Pro Football Focus, number 3. Mm-hmm. So I already elevated him according to all the other metrics and all the other rankings, which I disagreed with.
Right.
So, and yeah, listen, Big 12 Bobby, 1,000,000%. T-Mac is definitely going to get drafted higher than Ollie Gordon because we have to realize T-Mac plays a premier position. The NFL does not value running backs anymore. So Ollie Gordon, in terms of his status in the NFL, absolutely not even going to be close to T-Mac. But that's not the argument here. That we're talking about the Big 12 right now as we sit. And who do we think are the best players in the Big 12? That's why I had Ollie Gordon at number 1.
Again, NFL matters not for this argument, everybody. Again, maybe, that's another one, though. Maybe next week we'll do our best NFL prospects. I'm just saying, that'd be fun. But maybe we could, all right, let's see here. So you have Ollie Gordon at 1. I have T-Mac at 1. Then you have T-Mac at 2, and I got Ollie Gordon at 2. All right, now, Saul, let's see who we have at 3, because I'm curious if we actually have the same person here at 3.
I'm curious too, Mike, because I know, listen, I know there's a lot of hate towards Colorado, And listen, I'm not, as much as I hate Colorado,
It's
I'm
Travis
not
Hunter.
going to besmirch the two-way star that is Travis Hunter. As much as I think he's overrated as a wide receiver and he can get done in as a cornerback, overall, he is
It's
definitely
Travis
one
Hunter.
of the better prospects in the country. So I have him at number 3.
He's a fantastic player. And the other thing too, and they were debating this on ESPN. And I had to go back and look at this. Has there been a player like him in recent memory? And you have to go back to Champ Bailey at Georgia.
Or Charles Woodson.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go back a long way. Now, Champ Bailey caught for 900 yards and obviously was, I don't know if he was a Thorpe winner, but he was a top 10 pick. What he's able to do, Travis Hunter playing like 99.98% of the snaps is amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can make that work throughout the season again, because that's a toll. Let me ask you this, Saul. Do you see him last in the season doing that?
Man, I don't know. I really thought that he was going through it last year as it was. I don't know if he could repeat that in the Big 12. I just feel like that's a lot to ask of an individual. I really do think that he's probably going to focus a little less time at wide receiver and a little bit more time at defensive back because he's going to have to. There's some listen, when they play UCF, when they play Arizona, when they play some of these big time programs, they're going to need him to play defensive back a lot more. And I just don't see him being able to do both ways all season long. He's a listen, Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey played for legitimate top programs at Georgia and Michigan. Colorado is not, okay? Right. Colorado does not have the plethora of all-American talent surrounding these individuals like Michigan and Georgia had. So you're asking him to not only carry the load, but also carry the load for a team that's kind of a mid-team, if that.
Right.
That's a lot to ask.
That's a ton to ask. And he's also, again, he's a thin dude. I mean, he's strong, but he's a thin guy as well. I mean, that's a lot to ask.
But he is ranked number 1 in Pro Football Focus and number 2 in the NCAA. So take that for what it's worth.
You know what, Saul? This is our list, not their list. That's the way that I'm going to go with this one. So again,
he's an All-American too.
We will not be pushed into making some claim that we do not want to make. Okay, now.
Real fast.
What's that?
You were wondering if Champ Bailey won the Thorpe Award. He did not because he won the Heisman that year. 1998. Can you name the
No, that was Charles Woodson.
No, that was Charles Woodson.
Sorry,
Charles
Champ
Woodson.
Bailey. I'm saying Champ Bailey, excuse me. In 1998, Champ Bailey was a finalist for the Thorpe Award. Can you name the other 2 finalists?
In 1998?
Yep.
Yeah.
Charles Woodson.
I know it. Chris McAllister and Antoine Winfield, and Winfield won it.
Yep.
How about that?
Damn, look at the big brain on Brad right here. Nicely done.
I got a lot stored up in this noggin.
That was 98?
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Pretty good year for defensive backs. Antoine Winfield from Garfield High School in Akron, Ohio, by the way. Okay. Not that anybody cares. But now, savant stuff going on here. All right. Now, Noah Fafita. I am going at 4, Saul Bookman. I have Noah Fafita at 4. Again, I might be biased. I do not care. I have Noah Fafita at 4, National Freshman of the Year. Winging it all over. I look for an even bigger year out of Noah Fafita. What say you, Saul Bookman?
You're going to hate me. Takario. I got Takario at number 4.
Interesting.
Because, and listen, Noah's on my list.
Okay.
But I have Takario at number 4 because I think Takario is going to have a significant impact on this defense. I think Takario is going to shut down a complete other side of this field, and it's going to make teams a little bit more one-dimensional, having to go away from Takario. So I put Takario up at number 4.
Interesting. All right. So
give Takario some love, man. No defensive players ever get love, man. I got your back, Takario.
No, I think Takario's awesome. I don't have him on my top 10, but I have another U of A player from the defense on there as well. So again, we will, we'll talk about that at number. So you have Takario Davis at number 4. I have Noah Fafita at number 4. Okay, interesting. Now it gets interesting. So what do we have at 5, Saul Bookman? What do you have?
Number 5, I have Shedeur Sanders.
All right.
Number 5, I have Shedeur Sanders. Listen, he threw for he's rated so high across the board, played over 750 snaps last season with no offensive line. As much as I am not a big fan of Colorado, you got to give the guy his due. He's a tremendous quarterback. He's very calculated. He's very composed. He did everything he could to try and lead that team to victory time and time again. So I gave Shedeur Sanders a little bit of a benefit of the doubt.
So you like Shedeur over Noah Fafita this year, Saul?
I don't like Shedeur over Noah Fafita. I just ranked him higher.
Okay. All right. I got you. I have Taj Brooks in that position. 1,600 yards last year at Texas Tech. Not an easy thing. Also, 16 touchdowns, 6.5 yards per pop. Saul, I don't care what anybody says. This is the best running back league in the conference. I don't want to hear what anybody says about the SEC or the Big Ten or anything. I was looking at all the running backs. Everybody has a good running back. It is wild. This guy led the conference, obviously, outside of Ollie Gordon. I like Taj Brooks, but I'm going to be honest with you here. You know how many Texas Tech games I watched last year?
0.
0. Exactly. So I'm going strictly on stats and a couple highlights that I watched last night. But
All right.
that's what we like. That's what we're about here, though. We're about unvarnished honesty. That should be the name of like our show. Unvarnished honesty. It's like a segment.
Gotcha. I got Noah Fafita at number 6.
All right.
Noah Fafita at number 6. Listen, I think he's going to be in the running for Big 12 Player of the Year. I think he's going to be in the running for Big 12 Quarterback of the Year. I think he's going to be on every single watch list for a quarterback this season. And I think he's going to shock a lot of people when they finally realize like how truly tremendous this kid is.
He's going to have, and you were talking about it on Tuesday, Arizona's going to have a very unique opportunity here with Kansas State and with Utah because these games are going to be primetime games. And if they ball out, if Noah Fafita throws for against a very good Kansas State team, if Noah Fafita throws for, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, all of a sudden, Saul, he goes from being kind of that guy in the desert that, people know is really good, but he goes from that to being people are like, wow, we got to start taking you seriously.
I was watching a YouTube clip the other day about from College Football's Pro Football Focus, and they were breaking down Arizona. They did a whole little segment, 15 minutes on Arizona. And one of the things that was kind of alarming was that they talked about Noah Fafita not having tremendous arm strength. And I beg to differ. Yeah. Noah Fafita's arm strength is just as good as anybody else in the country. Right. I promise you that. All because he's not 6'6" and 225 pounds does not mean that he lacks arm strength. When you see him whiz that ball all over the field, you realize he has the goods.
This always with short quarterbacks, people always, even if they're really good, people always want to pigeonhole them into something that they really aren't. I'll never forget Nick Saban was talking about before they played Oklahoma in the Final Four, or whatever you called it back in the day, the college football championships.
The BCS.
Yeah, BCS. Yes, excuse me, the BCS.
I got you. Yeah.
And he said, a lot of times you don't realize the kind of arm strength that somebody has until you're right there. And he said, I don't care how tall that kid is. He said he could be 5'8", he could be 6'2". When you stood next to him and you watched him warm up, you knew that he could make absolutely any throw that he needed to make. And he said, I think he's going to be a high draft pick because of that. People fall into that trap. They assume.
What are you talking about?
What? Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that's right. He was talking about Kyler Murray.
He was talking about Kyler Murray. But the point still stands, though, is that I think a lot of times with guys that are 5'10" or whatever, they're like, well, who is that guy at Boise State with the noodle arm that's been on the Cowboys for 20 years?
Yeah, Kellen Moore.
Yeah. They think everybody's Kellen Moore and that you're throwing a lollipop. That is not always the case. Kellen Moore, isn't he a coach now?
Yeah, he's an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
For
Dallas Cowboys?
He went over to somewhere else. Now it's Chargers. That's right.
Chargers. Okay.
Currently with the Eagles.
Eagles now.
Oh. Hey, we got conflicting reports back there from the prodigious Kevin Thomas and Shane Diefenbach.
It's Eagles.
Okay, Eagles. But the point still stands, though. Noah can make every single throw.
I do remember it was the Eagles because they were talking about how Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni don't get along, and so they had to have a middleman, and so that's why they brought in Kellen Moore.
Oh, well, that's not reassuring if you've got I'll tell you one thing. In this day and age, Saul, if I'm a coach, I want to get along with the star quarterback. That is a prerequisite. When I walk in, I would go up to him and I'd say, "Listen, man, what do we need to do to get along? I'm not looking to get fired because you have seniority over me." That's the way that I would be. Okay, now let's keep going here, Saul. What else? Who do you got next?
You got to tell me who's your number 6.
My number 6. Oh, very interesting. My number 6.
Because I just said mine was Noah.
Okay, I am going with, this is a little bit outside the box here, Shadur Sanders.
Okay.
Listen.
So we flip those two.
Yeah, I like joking about Shadur. I like joking about Colorado. Mainly, the thing with Colorado is it's mainly the fans. I appreciate their passion, but everything is just crazy. But Shadur's awesome. I mean, Shadur could have been a first-round pick this past year. And let's be honest, you could watch Shadur for 5 minutes and be like, yeah, that dude gets it. You know what's amazing to me about Shadur when you watch him up close? And I didn't watch him up close. But he has the touch that he has on the ball, on his fade routes, on his everything. He's an easy dude to be able to project as a high pick for all of those reasons. I mean, he's the goods. He gets it.
Absolutely, he's the goods. At my number 7, I have Taj Brooks.
Okay.
Listen, Taj Brooks had forced 96 missed tackles, which was 4th in NCAA football last year. Like, that's tremendous. Like, that guy is a legitimate player.
He is like I said, when you look at him, he might be the most overlooked player in college football because you don't really
He's a
hear
little water bug, 5'8".
You don't really hear anybody talk about him, and then you look at his stats, and you're like, "Whoa, that's some impressive stuff."
Yeah, who's your number 7?
Yeah, I got Devin Neal. Then you notice a running back trend here. Devin Neal from Kansas last year, almost 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns. I am bullish on Kansas. I like their coaching. I like their quarterback. I like a lot of what Kansas does. I might even have another Kansas player on this list as well.
Oh, I have a Kansas prediction coming up.
Ooh, what do you want to wait till after we get these, and then you go to your bold
prediction? Yeah, of course, yeah, because it's part of my surprises or disappointings.
That's what I like to hear. But again, Devin Neal, I mean, stop me if you. And we talked about this before. When a dude like Scattaboo is like not even thought about when it comes to like the running back pantheon, I mean, it's a really good conference. I like Devin Neal a great deal. What's that?
Yeah, no, I like him too. My number 8. This is where things get a little wonky. I actually have Avery Johnson, just because I do believe that Kansas State, to me, is without Avery Johnson would be a 6-6, 7-5 team. Avery Johnson can get them to 11-1, 10-2. 12-0. Like, he's that good in my opinion. What he did in that Pop-Tart Bowl, shout out Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah.
I was fantastic in how he dismantled that team. So I'm a big Avery Johnson guy.
All right, real quick, we got a Buffalo fan in here. He said T-Mac had 9 yards on Travis Hunter. Well, first of all, Travis Hunter didn't cover him the majority of the game, so you can't really blame T-Mac for that. T-Mac also went for over 100 yards, and Saul Bookman might have a picture behind him of something that T-Mac did to Travis Hunter.
Please tell me more about Travis Hunter guarding T-Mac.
Look at Travis Hunter and look at T-Mac as a man against a boy. So again, that's a great picture.
Great picture.
Yeah. So again, hey, you know what he's doing there, Saul? He's showing his catch radius that everybody likes talking about. Yes, exactly. Okay. All right. Okay. So there's now. Where do you want to go next, Saul?
Wait, did you say number 8?
I did not say number 8. I wanted to see if you wanted to keep going. I got a new one now. I'm going Jacob Manu. I love Jacob Manu. If you talk with the coaches, they believe Manu's the best defensive player on the team. Tacario's the best prospect, for sure. But Manu's the man. Look at his stats last year. 130 tackles, 6 sacks, 9.5 for loss. You know what really impressed me last year about Jacob Manu is that he was able to start getting into the backfield. As a freshman, a lot of the tackles were kind of 7-8 yards down the field. I thought the next step for him, and I remember Johnny Nansen talking about this, the next step for him was going to start making impactful tackles near the line, tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and that's what he did. When you look at it, again, when you're talking about a linebacker like that, and he gets 6 sacks and a ton of tackles for loss, that is an impact player, my friend. Jacob Manu, big fan of Jacob Manu.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you should be a big fan of Jacob Manu. He's a tremendous linebacker. He could be all conference at linebacker, just like he was a year ago in the Pac-12. Like, he's one of the better linebackers in the country, 1,000,000%.
Yes. All right, Saul, what do you got? What do you got coming up?
Okay, number 9, KJ Jefferson.
I love KJ Jefferson. Not on my list, but I love him.
Listen, I think KJ Jefferson has a tremendous ability to be able to lift this UCF program to a whole nother height. People don't understand what KJ Jefferson did at Arkansas in the SEC. Here we go. Holds the career record at Arkansas in completions, completion percentage, passing yards, passing touchdowns, total plays, total touchdowns. Yeah. Threw for almost 8,000 yards and rushed for almost 2,000 yards in his career in just 2 seasons over there at Arkansas. 6'3", 247. That guy is Cam Newton reincarnated for Gus Malzahn, who also coached Cam Newton. So check that out.
He is. I think that Arkansas fans, this is going to be the equivalent of, because when you go on some of their boards, they're like, we needed to move on. I think this is going to be the epitome of you didn't realize what you had until it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think it's going to be. He's not in my top 10, but I love KJ Jefferson. I think that's a great pick.
I picked KJ Jefferson for impact only because I think that he could have the biggest impact of any player in the Big 12.
Yeah. Again, that UCF game terrifies me.
Yeah,
because
I'm not a big fan of it. I hope we're undefeated by the time we get there.
My next one, Jalen Daniels. I love Jalen Daniels. Here's the thing with Jalen Daniels, though. He needs to stay healthy. When he plays, he's absolutely fantastic. When he doesn't play, well, he doesn't do anything when he doesn't play. But Jalen Daniels... I'm breaking some news
here first, folks.
Yeah, when he doesn't play,
Jalen Daniels doesn't do anything when he doesn't play.
But he's got to play. He's got to play because he's got a big arm. He can do everything. He's accurate. He could extend plays. He looks the part, in spades. He's just got to stay healthy, and that's been a problem for him, is being able to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think that he's going to have a very nice year along with Kansas. I'm very interested to your hot take, though, but we will get to that. But, again, I like Jalen Daniels. Again, notice the theme here. A lot of really good quarterbacks in this conference as well, Saul.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll finish it off with number 10. I did split number 10 because it's a toss-up for me. I have Dylan Edwards, running back, Kansas State, or Cam Rising, Utah quarterback. Cam Rising coming back to the fold. Listen, I think people just completely forgot about Cam Rising, but that dude's legit. Like he's like their heart and soul. And I think at times last year, Utah missed him greatly. So I think Cam Rising coming back is really going to be a big benefit to Utah. And that's why a lot of people are picking Utah to win the conference, is because of Cam Rising.
Now, did you know? Oh, wow. We'll get to this toe tree thing. I did not see this. But with Cam, wow, interesting. Wow. Or we will definitely talk about this.
Look at that.
I feel like I'm being messed with.
Wow.
With Cam Rising, you know what Cam Rising is the epitome of just a winner. If he's going to extend the play and you need 4 yards and it means that he's probably going to break his leg and fly over like 3 linebackers to get it, he's going to get there. If he's going to get cracked in the pocket, but he needs to stay in there and be able to, wing the ball to a receiver, he's going to do it. Cam Rising's the man. I love Cam Rising. My only concern with him, and we've seen this before, he hasn't played in 2 years. If he's healthy, then he's good. But if he's not healthy, then he's not going to be able to do anything because he won't be playing. My other one is the preseason. He got the second most votes. I like Nick Martin a lot from Oklahoma State, linebacker. Came in second in the preseason picks for a conference player of the year. Bunch of sacks last year. Gets after the quarterback, lots of tackles. A lot of people like him as well. We will see. I put him on the list just because I think people that are smarter than me put him up very high up. So we will see how that does play out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of players in the conference that, we didn't even talk about that could make significant impacts, obviously, all over the field. You're looking at somebody, Garrett Green from West Virginia is one of those guys who he can be hit or miss. I have a whole list of them. You mentioned Devin Neal, RJ Harvey, obviously, Dante Corleone, defensive tackle, Cincinnati. There's just a lot of dudes. Luke Condra, guard at Cincinnati. Like, there's a lot of dudes out there that are great players in the Big 12 that will have an opportunity to shine and really prove themselves.
Well, just off the top of my head, think about the quarterbacks for a second. You got Noah, you got Shador, you got KJ Jefferson, you got Jalen Daniels, you got Avery Johnson, you got Rocco Beck, one of the best freshmen in the country last year at Iowa State. Then you got the West Virginia Garrett Green. Yeah, you got a lot of different dudes. There's a lot of different things that can make an impact. Now, you might say to yourself, I saw Saul Bookman and Mike Luke talking about seafood in Manhattan yesterday, Manhattan, Kansas. Well, we obviously did not agree here, but there is one thing that we can agree on if we see in Manhattan, Kansas, Saul, and that's a Circle K. If we see the Circle K there, it is going to be a very, very big deal. Again, I like taking pictures of Circle K. I even took a video yesterday in front of Circle K for one of our clips. Circle K, all kinds of really, really good stuff. Here's the deal. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. When was the last time you went to Circle K, Saul?
I feel like I say this every single time you ask me, especially on a Thursday. Thursday's like my fill-up day, so I went and got gas today. That's what I did.
I bet you were happy that you were an Inner Circle guy.
Oh yeah. You gotta save 5 cents, man. Let's go.
Check it out, Circle K now. You might be going to a game and you might say, man, Mike and Saul are going to the Kansas State game. Where could I find tickets last second? Game time. Boom. Check it out. Game Time, all kinds of good stuff. $20 off your first purchase with code PHNX. Terms do apply. Here's the deal with Game Time. You can go to a bad concert. You can go to a great game. You can go to a great concert. It doesn't really matter. Game Time has you covered in a variety of different ways. Saul Bookman has used Game Time before. He has said this on the show before. This is true, Saul Bookman.
I bought my New Mexico, Arizona tickets through Game Time. I'm ready to go for next weekend.
All kinds of good stuff. Here's the deal, though. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create your account. Again, code PHNX for $20 off. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time app. Last minute tickets. Lowest prices guaranteed, my friends. You will thank me later. All right. DZ Lowe says no Circle K's in Manhattan. Boo.
There are none.
Oh, well, my thoughts on my trip just went down a little bit, but I'm still going to have a good time. Don't worry.
I honestly don't even remember what kind of gas stations they have there, to be honest with you.
Well, probably gas stations that also sell seafood. Just say gas. Have you ever had gas station seafood? Saul?
No.
That does sound terrible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no good. All right.
Listen. We need to talk about that. By the way,
Yeah.
like the fact that like you asked John Kurtz about good seafood in Manhattan, Kansas, before you even talked to me. Like, come on, man. What are we doing here?
Well,
like,
you don't live there.
I lived there for a year. John Kurtz doesn't live there.
He doesn't live there?
No. He just covers K-State. He lives in Kansas City.
Oh. I thought he was like, oh, I do apologize then. I thought he was a Manhattanian or whatever that term would be.
A Manhattanite?
Is that what it is, a Manhattanite?
Sure, we'll call it that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do apologize, Saul. I thought he was on the ground. I thought this was a boots on the ground.
He did give you some good recommendations, but listen, I think if you cop out with sushi, I don't really consider sushi seafood.
Agreed. I'm not counting that. I told Brian, I said, nope, doesn't count as seafood. You have
They
to find
do have a Long John Silver's, and that's about as close as you're going to get.
Oh, Long
which
John,
does slap.
Long John. I love Long John Silver's.
It does slap.
Yes, I love Long John Silver's. It's very good. Shane strikes me as a Long John Silver's type of personality. But all right, now, so anyway, we will keep you up to date on the seafood. But when it comes to conference surprises, disappointments in the Big 12, Saul, I noticed you teasing something earlier about Kansas with Mr. Lance Leopold. Can I go on record on what I think that you are going to predict?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to try to get into the head of the boss. I think that never mind, that sounded wrong. But the boss, I believe, is going to pick Kansas as a disappointment this year.
You would be correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they are going to be one of the most disappointing teams in the country.
Okay.
I am not high on Kansas at all. I think they are completely overrated. I think people overvalue Jalen Daniels. I think people overvalue their running. What's their running?
Devin Neal.
Yeah, Devin Neal. I'm not sold on Kansas. I'll never be sold on Kansas. Kansas has always been a trash program, and I think they go right back to mediocrity again this season. They will be in the bottom of the toilet bowl. They will be finishing in the bottom 6 of the Big 12 this year.
You're not a fan of Lance Leopold, then, a guy that has wins everywhere he goes. So I'm just saying. I mean, he's turned that thing around. He did it at Buffalo as well. We will see. This will be an interesting one to follow.
Ooh, Buffalo. The MAC.
I was going to say, well, Bobby Hurley says, well, I guess if you can win there, you can win anywhere. So, again, check it out. But I disagree with you. My biggest disappointment is going to be OK State. Here's why. I like the talent at OK State, except there's one position I don't like the talent at, and it's an issue. Quarterback. Not a fan of Alan Bowman. 10 touchdowns, 10 picks. And here's the thing. I actually watched a few of his games, unlike unlike some of the other guys who I was just looking at stuff. Alan Bowman does nothing for me. And the thing about it, too, that I don't really understand is in this conference where you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be winging the ball and running the ball, I think you have to have a good quarterback. All these teams we're talking about, they all have good quarterbacks. Bowman, to me, is a step below all of those. I am not a fan, Saul. What say you?
I don't besmirch that at all. I think OK State's a good team anyway. But yeah, you need a quarterback to be able to elevate you to high levels. And yeah, I could easily see K-State around that 7-win mark for sure, just like Rick Barrett said.
I do very much like Mike Gundy. I think he's a fantastic coach. And if I was an Oklahoma State fan, I would love for him to be there. Now, who's your surprise team, Saul?
Who do you think my surprise team is?
All right. I need a disclaimer before my guess. I get to. Is it a team? If it's somebody that you shouldn't consider a surprise team, because I don't think you're going to consider UCF a surprise team, or are you?
That's not answering my question.
I think it's UCF. Boom! I said it.
There you go. It is UCF.
Totally
I think
agree.
I not only do I think UCF is going to be the surprise team, I think UCF will be in the running in the last week of the season to play in the Big 12 championship game.
Yep. I agree with all of that. I think UCF's a top 25 team. You see a lot of these, everybody's talking about how there's kind of 5 teams that are above the rest. Obviously, Saul doesn't include Kansas in there. Saul might be wrong, but we will see. But
I do include UCF, though.
Yeah, Kansas State, Utah, Arizona, and Oklahoma State. I put UCF in there as well. I think that UCF, I agree with you entirely. I like Gus Malzahn, and honestly, I think Gus Malzahn is a perfect fit at Central Florida. I think KJ Jefferson's great. You've got some really nice wide receivers as well. I think they're going to be problems. And again, they're getting Arizona during the space game. Do not love that at all. UCF's a tough place. UCF, though, we've talked about it before. I think at some point you got to start asking if this is a top 25 program, because this is the third straight coach that's won fairly big there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. And they're in a great position to be able to be a top program. Like, I don't see why you wouldn't have, UCF perennially up there. They're in Florida. They get an opportunity to get some very high level recruits. They got a lot of speed on the outside. They got a good running back. They got a good quarterback. That was the thing that they were missing before, and now they solidified that. And Gus Malzahn has been hit or miss, but I think with this group of talent, he's going to be able to elevate them. And listen, I think that Arizona UCF game could honestly be the most important game of the season when it comes down to it. If Arizona, let me just say this. If Arizona has 2 losses and one of those losses is not to Kansas State, meaning that's out of the conference, I think this is the game that determines whether or not Arizona plays in the Big 12 championship game or not.
I would agree with that. That's why we've talked about, especially, I would much prefer to beat Utah than I would Kansas State. But if you got a loss, you're going to have to go in and probably beat UCF. My worry about that UCF game is going to be at like a 9 a.m. kickoff or something. I don't want that. I don't think
it will be.
No, actually, it won't be because it's the space game, so it'll be.
Yeah, no, it'll be prime time. It'll be about 5-6 o'clock in the evening. But listen, that Arizona has like the 68th most difficult schedule in the country. It's not very high, but the 3 games against the 3 big time teams, in my opinion, are all on the road, and that is not the best thing ever. Kansas State, Utah, UCF, all on the road. That's a difficult 3-pack right there, and those are in some hostile environments. So we're going to learn a lot about this team if they can pull out some of these wins on the road in some of those 3 environments.
We're definitely going to find out a lot about it. It's going to be exciting. Also, Saul, something that Brent Brennan talked about the other day that I very much like as well, walk-ons. I like adding walk-ons to the team. He talked about how walk-ons are going to be a big part of this. He thinks it fits in very well in the Big 12. I can come with some very good walk-ons that have come through the U of A. A guy like a Chuck Cecil, a guy like a Jeff Hammerschmidt, et cetera, et cetera. The reason I bring this up is because I want to talk about Caden Luke for a second from Oro Valley CDO. Caden Luke will get on the field at some point this year, I believe. I like walk-ons. I think they fit in well, and I think they fit in very well with what Brent Brennan wants to do.
Why do you think Caden Luke's going to play a lot?
Because they want to play a fullback. And, if you have a fullback, he's the fullback at 5'10", 298 pounds of solid rock. Well, not that big, and he's looked very good in scrimmage. He had a touchdown the other day, a catching touchdown as well, or a receiving touchdown, a catching touchdown. But, I think it's going to be an interesting mix. I like teams that have a real walk-on program just because I think it gives you a little bit of the margin for error. We will find out how it works. I just wanted to give a shout out to the walk-ons.
My biggest fear this season is that we're gonna completely flip too much from going from spread to kind of a power formation multiple times, 2 tight ends, a fullback. Like, okay, like I get it, but I also want us to be able to take advantage of the skill positions on the outside a little bit more, and really the running back talent that you have as well. So hopefully it's not too much of a drastic change.
I agree with you. I don't need to see, with all due respect, I don't need to see Woody Hayes 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We've got players on the outside that need to be able to get the football. Another guy, too, as well. Kean Burnett, well, why don't we get into the next one as well, Saul? An offensive surprise and a defensive surprise for the UFA.
My defensive surprise is going to be Chuba May.
Love it.
I think Chuba May is going to hold up very well this season. He's going to hold up against the run, and he's going to adapt a little bit better in terms of rushing the quarterback. I think he's going to get, I'm going to say, eight tackles for loss at minimum. And then I think he's going to have at least 10 quarterback pressures, and I'll give him 5 sacks this season.
Oh, you're going, wow. He puts those numbers up. That boy's in the NFL next year then.
Yeah.
You got 5 sacks out of Chuba May. I will take that every single day of the week. I
High
like
hopes
that.
for Chuba.
Yeah, I was going to say, plus it's just a great name, Chuba May. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if he like makes the game securing like fumble recovery or sack or something like that, we already got the headline.
It writes itself.
Yes, we do.
All right. I am going Marquise Groves Killebrew. I believe he's going to start opposite. Hey, you guys got to let us in on what you just said. What'd you say?
No. Keep going.
All
Keep
right,
going.
fine. Marquise Groves Killebrew is my breakout. He is going to be on the outside, I believe, opposite Tacario Davis. You're going to be able to have Traden Stukes in at the nickel the whole time. Marquise Groves Killebrew, Dwayne Aquina has talked about him nonstop. Very excited about this. We will see how this does play out. So now on the offensive side, Saul, what do you got?
I feel like we might have the same person. Kean Burnett?
Kean Burnett, for sure.
Yeah. I think Kean Burnett is going to be the surprise. I have Chuba May getting honorable mention Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much I think of him.
Wow.
I have Kean Burnett making second team all Big 12 this year.
I like it. So I was I thought Brian Jeffries made a pretty good point yesterday when he said, I think Kean Burnett is the epitome, assuming he has a big year. He's the epitome of the player that sometimes rankings, they get it right, but it takes a little bit longer. I think when a 4-star kid comes to the U of A, people immediately say, well, we don't get 4-star guys, so we better be Kadeem Carey immediately. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Kean did not have a position coach in high school. He was just kind of figuring it out himself, getting by on raw talent. But I turned to Lev the other day, and I said, Kean Burnett, is he in the NFL in 2 years? And he looked at me and he said, no question. And Lev's a fairly measured guy, when it comes to predictions and stuff. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, I totally agree with you.
Kean Burnett suffers from what I like to call Arizona fan basketballitis. Mm-hmm. It's basically we assume freshmen come in and can dominate day one because of what we see in basketball, and we don't understand or comprehend that it's not the same in football. Football needs a significant amount of development more, unless you're some freshman quarterback, superstar, or wide receiver. On the outside, you're okay, but when you're inside, right, it's a different story. You got to get that physical ability developed. You got to learn the game. There's technique. There's a lot of things that got to get adjusted, and so a lot more difficult for like interior linemen, tight ends, linebackers to get to that point. And so Kean Burnett thriving in year 3 would not surprise me at all.
And keep in mind too, I mean, we don't know what he could have done last year, but he was also behind an NFL tight end in Tanner McLaughlin. So, and again, Jed wasn't running 2 tight end sets, so it didn't really matter. But, just sometimes you just wait your turn, you get, you take your chances. And I think Kean's going to have a really good year. I think this tight end room, and we've talked about it before, I think it's loaded. I'm very excited to see. There's a lot of different guys that I think are going to make a real impact this season. Okay, now, wanted to talk a little bit of Arizona basketball as well here. And this is something that it's become a little bit of a Twitter debate, message board debate, and I'm curious as to your take as well. So Tommy Lloyd has been wildly successful. We know this. And not only has he been wildly successful, he has destroyed the transfer portal in a good way. He and UConn have probably been the best 2 transfer portal pickups. But let me ask you this. We're 3 years in, and you've had one high school player that has made a real significant positive impact in KJ Lewis. Is his high school recruiting, is it good enough? Do you worry about it at all in this day and age with the transfer portal? Is this something that you're kind of like, oh, it's different now? What say you, Saul?
It's wildly overrated. It's like, who cares?
Right.
Who cares? I don't care where these kids come from. If they're a transfer or they're a recruit, I don't care. Can you get the job done? For everything that maybe people are saying he lacks in high school recruiting, which again, I don't care. He's more than made up for in the transfer portal,
right?
And getting some of these dudes. Like, listen, and even on the high school front, like they're going after guys like Koa Peep, Mikael Brown, Braden Burries, Xavier Staten, Tunde Yesufu. Okay. They've already, and then also Elijah James and Elijah Williams and Cam Holmes, like all those guys, right? Like they're active in pursuing those kids. But they've already gotten Carter Bryant, KJ Lewis, Emmanuel Steven. Like, I'm not worried about that at all. Like, what are we worried? And then the transfers, Caleb, Kashad, Jaden, Townsend, Awaka, Del Orso. Like, what are we?
See,
We're
I
not
think
picking.
I agree
We're
with you.
used to the old guard.
I agree with you.
Loot, whatever. Well, yeah, Loot didn't have to get transfers every fucking year and have guys like half their roster leave. Like, change.
I think people.
Change.
I think yes, exactly. I think people are looking at it from a pre-6-7 year ago mentality.
Yes.
Whereas if we're having this talk in 2017 and he's not getting any good high school players, guess what? That's probably a real issue. But the transfer portal is just totally changed everything. And just look at the roster last year. Look at the players. Umar Ballo, center, transfer portal guy, all conference. Keyshawn Johnson, transfer portal guy, all conference. Pella Larson, second round pick, all conference. Caleb Love, player of the year in the conference, obviously all conference. Jaden Bradley going to be your point guard this year, transfer portal guy. They're all transfer portal guys at this point. So if you can hit the ball out of the park with the transfer portal, I don't really worry about the whole high school thing at this point. I agree with you.
Yeah, we used to be called point guard U. You can call us transfer U for all I give a damn. As long as we win a championship or get to a Final Four, that's all I care about. And this team has been competitive with the transfer portal. They've been one of the best teams with the transfer portal, and they'll remain one of the top teams because of the transfer portal. So high school recruiting is cool and all, but it ain't everything. Right. And the high school recruits that they have gotten in recent years, most of them have left.
Right.
Most of them left, and they've been 4 stars. So who cares?
And the development of the transfer portal guys that you've gotten early has been second to none. Look at Umar Ballo. He comes in here, didn't do anything at Gonzaga. 3 years here. He's an all-conference player 2 of those years. Pella Larson, same thing. I think you're going to see the same thing with Jaden Bradley as well. The guys that he's gotten in that have essentially, because I kind of consider Umar Ballo and Pella Larson the equivalent in the past of high school recruits. You got him for 3 or 4 years. So, at that point, I don't really know what we're worried about here. I agree with you. I think there's nothing to worry about. I agree.
I think, and I love Umar Ballo. I really do. I love what he brings to the table. I'm telling you, there's going to be a drop-off when he gets over to Indiana. Agreed. I don't see him performing at the level that he did here in Indiana. I just don't believe it. First of all, it's Indiana. What the hell are you going to do on, outside of practice?
What kind of seafood they got there?
I like to shit on the Midwest. I don't know if anybody can tell. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Midwest. I think every Midwest city is just mid as hell. And Indiana and Bloomington is no different.
I don't disagree with
but
you.
I do love Manhattan, Kansas, so I will not besmirch that.
No love for Chicago.
I got love for St. Louis.
Listen, I've never been there, so
I've been
to Indiana. Yeah.
Kevin Thomas, make the case for St. Louis for us.
Arch, we got great food, great culture. There's a bunch of great museums and things to do there. We have the best and free zoo in the nation. Obviously, the 1902 World Fair. Do you like hot dogs? No, listen. Do you like hot dogs?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, St. Louis. Do you like ice cream cones?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, St. Louis.
Okay.
These things debuted at the World Fair in 1902.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah,
I was like, well, I was not allowed at the World Fair in 1902 if I existed.
Also, I'd like to make a point to Rick Trimmer in the comments section. St. Louis is not the armpit. New Jersey literally exists, so it can't be. But that's all my defense for now.
Facts.
Talk to me later.
Facts.
But again,
he said you can see him in St. Louis.
I was going to say you can see. Oh yeah, dude. Kevin Thomas. By the way, Kevin Thomas, you're getting a lot of message board love the last week or so. People have definitely noticed the addition of the prodigious Kevin Thomas. I will send you some of these screenshots.
Yes, thank you, Mike. That's all you though. And also, St. Louis is not the safest. You are correct. Right? It is. I didn't say it was the safest city. I said it was not the worst city.
It's like saying, "Hey, I love LA, but
it's top 25."
There's some spots that you don't want to go to.
Right. Oh, I'll take St. Louis over Detroit every day of the week. Come on, Big 12 Bobby. Come on. Also, Saul, it has been true. We put it out there before. There is no better time to become a PHNX diehard. And instead of me making the case, we are going to have somebody else make the case.
Are you going to do this every day?
I do. I like it a lot. I really do.
Yes, we know this. The Die Hard membership card. You can carry that around and show it to everybody. Say, yes, I am a Die Hard. We all know that we deserve this. Access to all of our premium written content. Yes. We know this. The boss, Saul Bookman. Listen, the AZ Wildcats podcast. You want to get audio of Behind Enemy Lines? You can get that. And of course, if you want to talk to me, you can go into the Discord lounge and you can hear all about the different fast food burgers that I like to eat. Yes. We know this. The boss, Saul Bookman. I am merely Mike Luke.
Did it better than I could, Saul. So sometimes you just got to leave greatness alone. That's where we're at. But Saul also make the case as the GM, though, not just Eric Ruby.
Listen, man, we've already said it a million times, and Eric Ruby did a great job of saying it. But, listen, you got to become a diehard because we continue to grow this thing out. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's fantastic. The Discord is just fully engaged. You got to come out, check out what we have to offer. Come out to events. We got a new one about to drop, by the way. It is a U of A related event that we are going to be putting on, and that will be coming out shortly. So gotta become a diehard so you can get some discounted tickets there, buds.
Excellent. All right, now for the prodigious Kevin Thomas behind the scene, who is getting a bigger following by the day. Keep up the good work. Saul Bookman, the boss. I am merely Mike Luke. We will be back with you starting 10:30 tomorrow as practices are essentially kaput. We will be back on our normal 10:30 time. But for Saul Bookman, Kevin Thomas, I am merely Mike Luke. As always, appreciate all of you. You guys are the ones that make this. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.